mics are on, and then you're good.
Okay, today is May 7th, 2025. The time is 6:03 p.m., and we will call this meeting to order, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. And
Increase the volume in the hallway. Excuse me, could you
yeah.
please increase the volume out here? We can't hear.
Is there a way to do that, Natasha? Okay.
Test.
How's that? Test, test. Better? A little higher?
Try it again.
Testing, testing.
It's a lot more helpful if people are quiet out there as well.
More? Thank you.
Okay, that's as loud as it goes.
Okay, this is as loud as it goes. Item number 2 is amendment and approval of the agenda. Does anybody have any amendments?
I have a change, Pat.
Okay, go ahead.
So down on 8,
Okay.
if we could flip A and B, that would be great. That'll put a lot of the discussion probably.
Yeah, we'll move it up.
Yep.
Just move it up one.
Please.
So, okay. Item B will be switched to A and A to B under item 8. And then I also want to make mention too that under item 12, commissioner updates, item C, Commissioner Alcorn was listed. So if we can scratch his last name and we'll put Coker, C-O-K-E-R. And those are the only changes that I've noted. Jay?
No other changes.
No? Okay. So moving on to item number 3, with the resignation of Chair Alcorn, we need to vote on a new chair for his replacement. Yeah, got it. We'll make a motion. Does anybody want to make a motion
I'll
to
move.
approve the amendments of the agenda?
I'll move to approve the amendments as described.
Okay.
Second?
All those in favor? Yes?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. Okay, now on to item number 3 is the election of Board of Commissioners officers for the remainder of the 2025 year. Any discussion on that? I have no issues remaining where I'm at now. If you being the longest commissioner here now thus far. Thoughts, discussions, motions?
Then I think he's asking you if you want to stay exactly where you are.
Yeah, actually, Jay, I would welcome the opportunity to work with you as our chairperson.
It's fine with me. Yeah.
Okay, do you want to make a motion then?
Yes, I do move that Jay be our new board chairperson.
I'll second. I have a first and a second. All those in favor? Yes?
Yes.
And yes.
Okay, motion carries 3-0. Congratulations, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. You would
I will need to also
remain.
make a motion and remain vice chair if anybody wants to make that
I'll
motion.
move that Patrick remains as the vice chair for the remainder of the 2025 calendar year.
Second?
All those in favor?
Speakers are not working at all. We can hear you from here, but these are not working.
Okay.
Do you have more chairs? Can we come in on the floor?
And actually, that's no. It creates a bit of a hazard coming in and out. Is it?
It's a bit of a hazard too.
Okay.
I don't know.
You turn it all the way up. Test, 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 test.
There it goes.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so we need to complete our motion for vice chair.
Yes.
Let's just start that over.
I'll move that Patrick Hollinger retain vice chair position for the remainder of the 2025 calendar year.
Second.
All those in favor? Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. Okay. Would you like
All right.
to now take over, Mr. Chair, for the meeting? Moving on into presentations?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, so next on the agenda is the presentations. We have Wreaths across America. Dawn and Deborah are here to present. I would ask that you try to speak as closely to the microphone so that the folks in the hallway can hear you as best you can.
Okay, are we turned on here?
Yeah, and Dawn, you can pull that out and, go karaoke style.
Okay,
There you go.
thank you. And Commissioner Coker, congratulations on your position. Patrick Hollinger, congratulations on yours. We saw you at a brief moment last month for your presentation for your certificate. I'm Don Bemis, Deborah Salzman, who live in Brookings, and for Commissioner Coker, I'm a 3-tour Vietnam vet, and I'm proud to be here.
It's an honor to have you here. Thank you very much.
Thank
Don.
you. As far as the wreaths across, thank you, folks. I appreciate that very much. For the wreaths across America, just short, over 3 million wreaths were placed last year worldwide. And in Oregon, there are at least 45 sponsor groups for the amount of wreaths purchased. Gold Beach placed 8th out of 45. Brookings placed 6th. So we're very pleased with that. We try to get corporate sponsors. The public in Brookings is just overwhelmingly generous. We had probably close to 12 or 15 corporate sponsors last year, and we were able to match their donation dollar by dollar thanks to the good people of Curry County and our outreaches at Weimar and McKay's. Anything else? Oh, yes, Patrick and Lynn, if the VFW in Gold Beach has asked if you'd like to participate in their ceremony at the Veterans Memorial and to speak on Memorial Day this year.
The 26th?
It's on.
It would be an honor.
It's on the Monday.
It would be an honor.
Yeah.
Of course.
So what we'll do is we'll have John contact you with more information and get you all set up,
Great.
okay?
Thank you very much for the invitation.
Yes, we appreciate it. And also, Jay, I know you've tried to come a couple of times and weren't able to attend our ceremony. Patrick was gracious enough to be at our ceremony last year where we have flybys by local pilots. They've already committed for this year, weather permitting. And of course, our dear Dr. Carlson sings for us every year. And it's an honor to have her sing for us. Usually, Court comes down, and Brad always spoke. And unfortunately, he's gone. But we're going to be keeping in touch with him, I'm sure.
So you're all invited to come speak at our ceremony.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, folks. Thank you, gentlemen, ladies.
Okay. Don, Deborah, thank you again. Next up are public comments.
And these would be in regards to the agenda item.
Okay. We have three public comments that are, looks like I'm not sure if they are related to an agenda item or not. It does not have it listed, but I will begin with those. Just to read this off, the public comment section of the agenda is an item designated for any member of the public who wishes to speak on any issue related to Curry County. Please be advised that the comments that are made by these individuals reflect their personal opinions and have not been verified factually. Comments directed towards county personnel will not be tolerated in the forum. We encourage anyone with personnel-related concerns to address them privately with any of us after the meeting. So first up is David Barnes. And I'm assuming is it related to an item on the agenda? Okay.
Good evening. I'm David Barnes. Commissioner Coker, congratulations on your appointment.
Yeah, I think you're going to pretty much have to hold him.
Okay. Is that better out there? No?
It's on. I think you're just going to have to.
Hello? Is that, that's as close as I can get. Okay. I'm here tonight in hopes of getting an answer to an unanswered question around this county, and that's where's the missing money? I'm not here to talk about anything else, just the missing $2.7 million of ARP money that made the headlines earlier this year, and which people are still asking me about, both in public and at social media. Some history. Shortly after I became the treasurer in 2021, the federal government rolled out the American Rescue Plan, ARP for short. This was also known as COVID funds. Local, county, and state treasurers were invited to apply, so on behalf of the county, I applied for and we received just over $4.4 million in 2 equal payments. At that time, the finance director was made the administrator of these funds. The board at that time impaneled a citizens group and heard applications from about a dozen entities and organizations in the county seeking funds. Between these applications and expenditure to update the antiquated communication system for first responders, that board authorized and approved approximately $1.7 million during their term. Prior to the first allocation and expenditure report being submitted to the U.S. Treasury, the finance director resigned. So as the user, I completed the reports and submitted them when required. The next finance director showed little interest, so I submitted the next report as well. New finance rules were adopted by this board via Order 23327 on November 1st, 2023, Section 19 of which states, the finance director will maintain a consistently updated list of all grants, including reporting deadlines, financial obligations, and contractual requirements. A new finance director began in February 2024 and was tasked at the meeting on February the 23rd to tell the Board of Commissioners how much was left remaining in the ARP funds. Again, this director did not ask me about ARP or the reporting. On April 25th, 2024, 5 days before my retirement, I submitted my last report to UST, which includes all of the allocations and expenditures for which I received a valid Board of Commissioner order. At that time, there was still $2.7 million remaining to be spent or allocated, a fact known to the incoming treasurer. On May 16, 2024, 2 weeks after I retired, by board number 23405, the board allocated $500,000 up to $1.2 million for the clerk's office. For an unknown reason, the U.S. Treasury report was never updated to include this allocation. I do not know if this board allocated any other funds after May. Fast forward to December 2024. The finance director has still not updated the U.S. Treasury report, and the county receives a message from Treasury stating something to the effect of, you still have $2.7 million of ARP money that hasn't been allocated and we'd like it back. Panic obviously ensues. Rather than simply updating and resubmitting the report.
Mr. Barnes, your 3 minutes is up. I'm going to ask you to wrap it up, please.
I'm about to. Just a little bit more. Decision was made. Rather than simply updating and resubmitting the report, decision was made to make a public spectacle of the matter, the reasons which only can be guessed, but the result of which is public perception that the board somehow lost $2.7 million and is fiscally irresponsible. The finance director quit shortly after I made the truth be known in an interview with redwoodvoice.org. The county has never issued a formal explanation of the outcome of the missing money. The closest thing we have is a statement to an answer by question to the former finance director on social media on February 24th, 2025. Question, does this mean there was no money missing? Finance director, the money was not correctly reported nor correctly reported. It is now accounted for. It's time for the county to make a formal statement so people can finally stop asking, where's the missing money? And while I don't expect one, an apology to me would be really nice for the way I was treated through all this. The campaign of inference and innuendo that I was somehow responsible for this wasn't good, and I really don't appreciate it. And lastly, there's another $4.4 million that came into the county in 22 and 23, I believe, called LATCF. It's Local and Tribal Consistency Fund. There are reports due to the U.S. Treasury on that also, and I hope you don't have the same problem again. Thank you.
Andre Bay.
Good day, Commissioners. Lynn, thanks for stepping up.
Andre, grab the microphone. Those folks are going to have a hard time hearing you.
Always have a gift for incoming commissioners.
It'll go right next to my other Constitution copy. Thank you, Andre.
Hey, you're welcome. Jay, thanks for chairing. I appreciate that. I think you're going to be a good chair with your leadership skills.
Thanks.
I wish you would have stepped up last time. And I'd like to hope to see reports of the timber monies and anything that's going on with that as you get them. When you guys can update them, keep us informed.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Andre. Next is Laura Peterson.
Curry County residents. I am here.
Laura, can you grab the microphone? Sorry, it's just going to be a kind of a repeating theme here.
I am here this evening to present a public service announcement. Some of you may be aware of a article that appeared recently in Grants Press Tribune on May 4th, 2025. I'm going to read a certain excerpt from that issue. The article is titled, Grieved Mother Alleges Deep-Seated Corruption in Southern Oregon's Legal System. A local woman is raising serious allegations against the justice systems of Jackson and Josephine counties, claiming a pattern of prosecutorial misconduct, fabricated evidence, institutional abuse following the tragic murder of her son. Detailed accusations of systemic corruption, stating that both counties have failed not only to deliver justice, but to uphold the most basic constitutional protections. The reason why I have read that is because I am here to present the opportunity for Curry County residents to attend a public meeting on corruption and the steps that we as citizens can take to mitigate that without having to rely upon people who may or may not hold our trust. This meeting will be at the public library here in Gold Beach on the 18th at 1 p.m. We'll be meeting in the meeting room. We hope to see you there. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Okay, next up is Michael Frederick.
Good evening, counselors. Am I speaking into this right?
Yeah, you might. Yeah,
Closer?
just pull it out and yeah, there you go.
All right, that better?
That's better.
All right, okay. Well, I've never been to a commissioners meeting before. I'm sorry, I think I called you council people and commissioners. But I've been meaning to get up here, and I haven't. I go to a lot of meetings in Brookings. It's unfortunate that it ends up being a negative issue that gets me up here for the first time, but that happens at times. I go to a lot of meetings down in Brookings, and louder. Louder? Okay. I go to a lot of meetings in Brookings, and most of it is very informational and moving forward and progressive. Occasionally there's things that are not, and they unfortunately don't seem to be in the interest of helping people and furthering things along. And this is what it seems like with this whole ICE cooperation thing. I don't know why effort and time is being put into this, especially, I mean, right now. I mean, we're only less than 4 months into this new, wrecking ball situation. But it seems to be something that's mostly going to cause harm. It's not going to help. And this is something, it's a resolution here, and I'm not completely clear on that. I should be by now. But I don't know if that is legally binding or if that is just a statement or a suggestion or proclamation. But if it's just a statement, it just seems to be ill-intended, just negative and harmful. And if it's legally binding, is this going to require our local law enforcement to break the law? This just seems misguided and not developed, and it seems that I don't see a positive coming out of it. This seems to be all negative oriented, and this is kind of like what happened in Brookings with the church thing, and where the city, who lost their case, and it cost the taxpayers a lot of money that they're still paying. And this has happened in other places with other situations. And I suspect that this is going to be the same thing. If you're going to violate the law, you're going to get sued, and we're going to pay for it. And I don't see where the positive outcome is, other than costing the citizens of this community and just simply causing harm and making us look bad out in this area again. We were on the national stage in Brookings, and I would hate to be on the national stage for the same reason again. So I would hope that you'd really give this some thought before we move forward. And I'm actually curious if I could find out at some point where the whole idea came from, where the framework came from, what information it was based on. That would be really helpful. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And we'll address that during the discussion time. We'll have all those answers for you. Yeah.
Thank you, Michael. Next up is Alex Frederick.
Yes. Frederick.
Can you hear me? Hello?
He's got to kind of speak up. It's on.
Okay. All right. All right. I'm very nervous. Sorry.
Really, really close to the microphone.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, honey. All right. Thank you so much for your time.
There you go.
I'll start. This is about the ICE thing. Let's leave the prospect of our county violating state law aside for just a moment. This is a national issue. There are lawsuits pending regarding this very topic. My question is, why are you so fired up to put your intentions in writing? Do you have any data or studies that you can show your taxpayers that prove that this is in our best interests? Are you that confident we won't be found in violation of the law? Are you sure we won't be held liable for violating constitutional rights? I drove up here from Brookings to remind you of our very own cautionary tale. We violated a land use act, and Brookings taxpayers are eating the $800,000 plus costs right now as we speak. You need look no further than Cottage Grove to see how this resolution could bite us in the pocketbook. If you aren't familiar with what happened there, just Google Cottage Grove Police sued for violating Sanctuary Promise Act. I guess the point I'm trying to make is that you say this is in our best interest. With a decimated sheriff's budget, a looming unpopular levy, and no real communication with your sheriff and his deputies, this feels like signing your constituents up to pay for another grandstanding or ego-driven mistake. I really would like you to reconsider. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, Alex. Next up, Joe Wilson.
I'm Joe Wilson. I live up in Nasuka Beach. Nice to see you there, Lynn. You look good.
Good evening, Joe.
I wasn't planning to come here and speak today, but I read this article that was in Redwood Voice about this group called Indivisible, how they are taking over Curry County, how they are influencing our board of directors. And Indivisible, if you don't know who they are, they're financed by George Soros. They're $7 million, over $7 million have been given by George Soros. You can check that out. Not only that, they're extreme leftists. Many of them Marxists and communists. This county is a Donald Trump county. This county voted for Donald Trump in vast majorities in 2016, 2020, and 2024. Vast majorities. And the number one priority for Donald Trump is getting rid of the illegals that were let into this country illegally. Every one of the illegals that have come in this country is a criminal, and they should be deported. Every one. And anybody that helps them should be charged with crimes also. But I do want to say there is one thing an individual does that I appreciate in this county. They have a sign up in Port Orford, and at that sign they put all the extreme leftist candidates that run in the county, so you help me know who to vote against. I appreciate that very much. Any questions?
No questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Adios. Bye.
I have no cheering, no clapping.
Okay. Next is Penny Seuss.
Good evening, Commissioners. I sent you my detailed comment on the proposed ICE detainer resolution on Monday. So you have that. All I have to say right now is do not pass it. Do not pass it.
It's on. You just have to hold it a little closer.
Okay. So you heard that I sent you my detailed comment.
Yeah.
Okay. You must know that hundreds, maybe thousands of innocent people have been detained just because somebody put their name on an ICE list. Many of these people have been sent to jails outside the United States. Now these sites include Libya, we learned today. Soon maybe African countries as well. Have you no sense of empathy, sirs? No feelings for the families you will destroy through your complicity with ICE? It is nothing less than state-sponsored kidnapping and incarceration without charge or trial. I dissent, not in my name.
Thank you. Thank you, Penny. Next is Charlene Enoch. Did I say that correctly? Okay.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity to state how very much opposed I am to this resolution for the reasons that have already been stated. There's a lot of sadness when I see the news about what is happening to those that have been deported, and I do understand violent criminals. Okay. But I need to see some data. Your first point of your resolution says that a disproportionate number of crimes have been committed by individuals in this county illegally. I would like to see that information. That information needs to be made public, as well as all your other points. And I won't go into all of those because I want everyone else to have a chance to speak. But please reconsider this for many reasons. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next is D. Schockler? D. Schocker?
I think the other people who have spoken have said it very well. I don't want to take up a lot of time, so everybody gets a chance. Don't do this. Do not do this. You have not supplied us with the data that supports the statements that you have made. It is ill-advised. Don't do it.
Thank you, Dee. Thank you, Dee. Next is Vicki Bradley. Vicki?
Hi, can everybody hear me?
You got to kind of just get it really close to, yeah.
Eat it? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Like, you were going really hard at the karaoke scene, just like you're getting after it.
All right, well, I'll keep it short and sweet. My name's Vicki Bradley. I'm from Harbor, Oregon, and I'm here to speak against in opposition of the resolution for immigration and ICE. You know, I still have my ballot sitting on my kitchen table, and the only thing I haven't voted on is the initiative for the levy. And my concerns, I'm not speaking about the levy here, but my concerns about that play right into what's going on here. I don't know whether to vote for or against it because of my concerns for the lack of transparency. And that's the bottom line. So the big thing with this is that, just as the people before me have spoken, it talks about all of the crime that's being committed in this county at the hands of immigrants. We can't even get statistics out of the Sheriff's Department and from the commissioners about the crime stats for me to make a judgment on how to vote on that levy. And this just kind of put me over the top, because this just makes me feel like this is the kind of stuff that we're going to be spending our taxpayer dollars on. I'm not for it. And I don't want you to pass it.
Thank you, Vicki. Thank you, Vicki. I also just want to point out, thank you for everybody being considerate of everybody else's time tonight with all your comments. Next up is Dee Ragsdale. Oh, there you are.
Thank you very much for having me. I am very concerned about ICE and this proclamation or this resolution. Let me tell you why. You are a public official, right? In other words, you are the government and you work for us, the people, we the people. And I'm going to get back to that in just a minute. The whereas statements don't bother me as much as the number one, where under this resolution, recognition of crime burden, the significant impact that criminal activities by certain illegal aliens have had on our community, in particular in terms of the local law enforcement resources. As others have said, I haven't seen any data. You haven't shown us data. I want to see how many criminals have been arrested in our county, and I want to see how many of those you have said are illegal aliens, okay? Where's the data? Where's the data? And instead of spending your time, our money, we the people, you're the government, instead of spending our money on this, I would like you to make proclamations about defending Medicaid from Republican budget cuts, protecting Head Start and early education in our communities, early education for our children, okay? Protect the Department of Education, disabled persons who are not going to get the assistance, the children in our schools. I know these are potentials, but they're cutting the staff that manage these programs. So they may say the money's not been cut, but they're cutting the staff to manage the programs. Cutting Veterans Health Administration. Cutting research for cancer and other diseases. Where are you on all these issues? Dismantling services for seniors. For instance, the Meals on Wheels program that you may or may not know, the community center manages for this Gold Beach area. So I'm really concerned that you're spending our money on these frivolous, to me, maybe not to you, accusations of illegal aliens being criminals in our county. Where did you get this information? Is that from Ray Buchhager, who you've hired as $60,000 a year for a DC lobbyist to do this? Is this boilerplate language that's being propagated all over the county and all over the country? I don't know. So $60,000 a year for Ray Buchhager, or however you pronounce his name, that you're spending of our money to do what is my question. What is your mission or missions? I don't know what your missions are. But I'd also like to remind you that there's, for those of you who are new to the county government, you are government employees, this is the ethics guide for public officials from the Ethics Commission. I'd like you to make sure you understand the conflicts of interest, prohibited use of official position, private employment by public officials, gifts, nepotism, and your annual statement of economic interest. So if you haven't read it, if your counsel, where is he tonight? If he's not read this and you have not read it, I strongly suggest you do. In addition to your own procurement laws, I've done some public records requests on contracts.
You're going to need, your time's up, so you're going to need to wrap this up.
And I want to make sure that you are following your own procurement laws, and when you do sole source, that it's in your agendas and it's documented and you've followed your own laws, because I tell you, I have questions about that. So getting back to ICE, where's the data? And why aren't you supporting what's really important in this county that's affecting and it has the potential to affect us all?
Thank you, Dee. Next is Beth Barker Hidalgo.
Good evening. My name is Beth Barker Hidalgo. I live in Gold Beach. I'm here to address your resolution to support ICE activities in Curry County. Oregon is a sanctuary state, as you well know. This is problematic for you and your affiliates. However, you don't get to change that. You're a county commissioner and you work for Curry County residents. So, full stop. That's where your jurisdiction ends. Quote, whereas rural counties like ours face disproportionate challenges due to crimes committed by illegal immigrants, thereby placing an undue burden on our already stretched local law enforcement and resources. Let's just say I'm curious. Where's the arrest data? What is the urgency of this resolution, other than to what my good friend Dee just said, to repeat boilerplate language that's being pushed all over this country in rural red counties? Shame on you. Shame on you. I looked at your lip-sync meeting agendas, local public safety coordinating council agendas. Can't find your minutes. You might want to work on that. We need to see the minutes from those meetings. Nothing on any agenda about illegal immigrant crime. If it's not being rose to the level of your local public safety coordinating council, it's not an issue. You're making it one. We have a housing crisis. You know I've stood at this podium and talked about that housing crisis since 2018. What are you doing? We have people who are struggling with food and utility and health care access in this county. And this is what you're wasting your time on? I invite you to view a documentary that was recently viewed here in Curry County, No Place to Grow Old. Write that down. No Place to Grow Old. Seniors are falling into homelessness daily. This is the fodder that you are wasting our time with. It's incredulous. You all ought to be ashamed of yourselves. I do have handouts for all of you that has state arrest data. There you go, Patrick, that one's yours, because it also has my public records requests that you have not complied with.
Thank you.
There's your packet. Put this to bed. You can see you do not have support for this resolution in this county. If you did, there'd be more of you here than us.
Okay, next up is Janet Jeffrey.
Thank you very much. My name is Janet Jeffrey, and I reside in Gold Beach. Respectfully, sirs, as you seriously are considering this resolution, Please hearken back to your sandbox time as children and the lessons you probably gleaned. In case you did not get enough sandbox time, and as one whose mom gave her lots of sandbox exposure, here's a short tutorial on those lessons. 1, treat others as you want them to treat you. 2, always follow rules and laws. 3, get the whole story before taking action. Sandbox lessons, in essence, they are also known as due process, which, by the way, the 5th and 14th Amendments of our U.S. Constitution guarantee. It is our personal obligation as citizens to make sure we are civically informed, not civically ignorant. We must know what our city, county, state, and country officials are tasked with. What are their expectations and limitations? Further, then, it is our obligation to make sure each official minds sandbox lessons, stays in his lane, is consistent in delivery of his duties, and does not overreach his official authority. The lesson here, stay in your lane, do your job, and let others do theirs. Tonight, you are asking us whether or not we agree to an overreach of our elected sheriff's authority. We elected him to be our sheriff, not an ICE agent. If he wants to be an ICE agent, he should apply for a position in that federal department. We elected him to consistently enforce laws within the confines of his job description and not use capricious, ideological-driven beliefs. As a resident of this county who considers herself reasonably civically informed, I do not agree with this, and I implore you, do the right thing and do not allow this resolution to move forward. Thank you, sirs.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Next is Gigi de Blasio. Did I say that correctly?
Yeah. First person that has. I'll be brief. I'm here to, again, be against the ICE resolution, and I'm curious as to why we are wasting our time on this. If you look around, this county is 91% white people. I've had multiple thefts, I've been verbally assaulted, and I've been around drug sales all over the place. And you know what? Every single one of them was white people, local people, and nothing is being done about it, okay? The disproportionate challenges for crimes due to illegal people coming here, that's just not happening. Like, I stood next to you fighting things like the windmills and stuff like that, okay? I would like you guys to work on issues that we have here. As someone said, the home shortage, bringing doctors in, you know, the roads, those are a problem and stuff. Illegal people committing crimes and being disproportionately affecting our sheriff's things, no, that's not an issue. We can't even get them to arrest people that are doing crimes that live here. They're known, they're repeatedly over and over and over again, and nothing happens. This is a made-up, regurgitated headline-grabbing issue. Let's work on what we really have problems here. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you, Gigi. Thank you, Gigi. Next is Brett Cecil.
Good evening, commissioners. Good evening, Curry County citizens. It's good to see you all. Lynn, congratulations on your appointment. And I'm sorry I didn't get to see Mr. Alcorn before he left to thank him for the work that he did while he was here. But I look forward to seeing some good works come out of all of you in the next year or two. So I wanted to quickly just go over a couple of points here. Let me keep the microphone up here so you guys can hear me. Again, I'm Brett Cecil. I'm a resident of Port Orford. I'm also the chair of the Curry County Democrats, and I stand before you this evening in opposition to item AB, which is the Immigration and Customs Enforcement resolution presented on tonight's agenda. There are so many points I'd like to address, but my time is limited, so I'll stick to the top line points. Our democracy in the United States of America is based on the rule of law, a rule by which elected officials swear an oath to uphold and defend, and a rule by which all citizens expect to be held to account. Messing with this order of our laws is antithetical to everything for which our nation stands. Curry County cannot pick and choose which laws that we will follow. I ask for proof of the activity of illegal aliens and how many of them have been arrested in Curry County. I've made a close review of the Oregon Uniform Crime reporting data through the OSP. That's the Oregon State Police. I didn't even find a category for reporting such activities, and the data just doesn't justify the need for addressing this issue. Has Sheriff Ward provided any such data? This is a solution in search of a problem. Our federal government has the resources to carry out its own operations. The financial resources of Curry County don't even begin to address its own financial needs, much less those needed to support this resolution, and even less that of the legal action that will ensue following the adoption and implementation of such an action. My concern is that the BOC is looking to score points with the Trump administration. I encourage you to focus on Curry County rather than Washington, D.C. During my experience in BOC meetings, I've heard more than a couple of times plenty of commentary on government overreach. This is a perfect example of government overreach on the lowest rung of our government. Please give your actions here some consideration with regard to such commentary. So I also want to remind everybody that on May 20th is our election day. And I'm not going to electioneer here, but I want to make sure everybody, even at home, remembers that you've probably got a ballot sitting on your table if you haven't turned it in yet. Please do your civic duty. Vote. Our library boards, our school boards, our community college boards are very, very important, and that we keep those folks elected there. So please give it a look. Make sure you check the boxes. If you haven't gotten your ballot yet, get a hold of Shelley Denny here at the county clerk's office. They'll send you another ballot. Or if you're concerned about vote by mail, you can vote in person in Curry County. And anywhere in Oregon, you can walk into the clerk's office and do it. Okay, so again, I want to express my opposition to this resolution and ask that you drop it and not spend any more time on it. Thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you, Brett. Thank you, Brett. Next is Joy May. Joy? Oh, there you are.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Joy May, and I live in Port Orford. I would like to comment, as so many already have, on my concerns regarding the draft Immigration and Customs Enforcement Resolution. I am, in fact, requesting that this resolution be withdrawn tonight. As elected officials for our wonderful Curry County, you took that extra step. You were willing to take on a very difficult and time-consuming job as a county commissioner. I respect that. We may disagree on aspects of how to move our county forward, but I know that the three of you took this on because you truly care about our county and the laws which govern it. And that's what I'm counting on tonight. When each of you won your elections or were appointed, there was one other step in this process before you could sit in those chairs. You were sworn in and took an oath. That oath states that you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States of America, the Constitution of the State of Oregon, and the laws thereof. And it ends with, to the best of my ability, so help me God. Now that is what I call a pretty solemn statement, as it should be, because a county commissioner should do their best to support the laws of their state. And let's be clear. In your resolution, you refer to the state sanctuary policy. This is not a policy. This is a law. And the Oregon Department of Justice states it as a law quite clearly. The oath you took did not include the words, "I solemnly swear to uphold the laws that I like and to disregard those I do not." And your oath did not include the words, "I will state my preference for our county law enforcement to violate their own oaths of office." In this resolution, you reference your support for the rule of law, to encourage others to make their own decisions about which laws to follow and which to defy leads to a very slippery slope towards a lawless society, undermining the rule of law. But this doesn't take away your right to speak out against a law that you disagree with. Your First Amendment rights guarantee that. That is what the rule of law looks like. Those that disagree with the law can use legitimate and constitutional processes to change it.
I'm going to ask you to wrap it up.
I'm not sure what's happened to our understanding of what an oath is, but it's a promise, a solemn promise. And it's more than that. It is a binding promise that those who have spoken that oath will hold themselves to those words. I can assure you the citizens of Curry County are expecting and relying on our county commissioners to hold themselves to the words in their oath of office. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Michelle Arnold.
So as you said, my name is Michelle Arnold. I live in Gold Beach. I wanted to say, the optimist in me wants to say, look at this engagement in public process. I know it's a pain for you gentlemen, but this is truly what our country's about. So I am just blown away by the articulate speeches we've heard so far tonight. So thank you for this opportunity to comment on your resolution to cooperate with immigration and customs enforcement requests in opposition to Oregon's sanctuary laws. I see the current federal policy as terrorism against our communities. I never imagined that my country would arrest people in our country and transport them to another country where they're imprisoned without legal process under the guise of making us safe. How can we feel safe in a country where the rule of law is dissolving before our eyes? My father and father-in-law risked their lives to fight fascism in World War II. I presume many of us have that same story, yes? My father spent 13 months in a German prison camp as a prisoner of war, which would make him a loser to our president. I know and believe many here agree that our family members who took this stand for our nation's values against bigotry and brutality were heroes. Even if you cannot turn away from this dark movement in our federal government, please view the impracticality of our county committing our already strained and limited sheriff's staff to more duties. We are too strapped financially to manage public protection now. Please resist the urge to join this terrible movement toward fascism. Be on the right side of history. Thank you.
Thank you.
Athena Lyons. Athena? Athena?
You need my spelling? Or? T-H-E-N-A. It's like Athena, but no first A. Lyons. L-Y-O-N-S. That's okay. It's a difficult name. I went through it my whole life, so it's okay. Athena Lyons, and I live in Brookings. I don't know if somebody's phone's going off or what's going on. Anyway, thank you for holding this. It's going to be a long evening, and I thank you for it. I think what the rule of law happened when, or the lack of rule of law happened when illegals were actually allowed to come in. So I think we need to start from the beginning to where we are. So that's what happened in the beginning and no one had a problem with it then, but now we have a problem taking them out. I don't know, and I think it's probably because it was okay with Biden, but it's not okay with Trump. My story is I had a 14-and-a-half-year-old nephew who was killed by an illegal drunk driver. 14 and a half. Unless it happens to you personally, you don't understand what that's like. And when they took the person that killed him to the hospital, the police let him go. Just let him go. It was his third strike. I have no idea what they did before that, what he did before that. But when you're at court and you see a vehicle, a truck, and you see an indentation, and the DA tells you that is where his head hit, that it hit so hard that it indented a truck. So when you see that as a person who is a relative, you think differently. I don't hate the man, but he was on his way to pick up his small children. It could have been he made it there and then the whole family would have been killed because he decided to drink. He was here illegally. He got government assistance. He was a bipolar, but he decided instead of taking his bipolar medication, he's decided to drink. And my 14-year-old nephew died because of that. First year in high school. So before you pass judgment on people, understand where other people came from. So when they came in here, there were women that were raped, children that were raped, children that were displaced. So think about that side of it. And I just wanted to share that. It's been a long time, and it hurts. It still hurts. And when it took two days to get a jury, because everybody on the jury had either someone who was affected by drunk driving, someone who had a DUI. It took 2 days to get 12 people. It makes you wake up to that there are things out there. But had he not been here, maybe my nephew would have still been alive. So thank you. I need people to see the other side of things.
Thank you, Thina. Thank you, Thina. Next is Maureen Terbeck. Is Maureen's gone? Okay, thank you. Next is Phoebe Pareda.
Having a little hard time seeing here. Sorry, guys.
No problem.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Phoebe Pareda, and I'm a Curry County resident from the city of Brookings. Thank you for this opportunity to provide public comments. I am here to actively listen and understand the Commissioners' perspectives and discussions in regards to the resolution regarding immigration detainer requests. I believe we all desire a safer community, and I believe in the value of all humankind. I believe our differences come over exactly what that should look like. As a family of first-generation Americans who immigrated to this country, I understand the value of embracing new residents. Our subsequent generations, now vast with second-generation Mexican Americans, have proudly served in the United States military, as firefighters, and in law enforcement, demonstrating their commitment to our nation and active public service. Furthermore, while my family heritage deeply informs my perspective on this matter, so does my experience and perspective of a wife of a 25-year law enforcement officer, part of which were in a drug task force. I have a profound understanding of the necessity of respect for the law. It is with these perspectives that I come to listen and hope to be able in the future to provide helpful comments and engagement on this topic. This is a complex and multifaceted issue. and it deserves much thought, conversation, and all perspectives. In light of today's news reports of massive quantities of drugs confiscated in Salem from cartel members, including 6 individuals who were in the states illegally, I also state that I want to state my thanks and gratitude for the Commissioner's concern for our safety. I also want to state that it is widely known in the law enforcement community that drug traffickers are unlikely to use major thoroughfares such as I-5 and most frequently use roadways through small communities such as those on 101. I wish to thank and voice my support for our commissioners, and I would like to also offer this suggestion that might help to ease the concerns of some of those who fear your resolution is solely aimed at targeting undocumented immigrants. Perhaps considering an adjustment to the resolution that specifies cooperation with ICE primarily on felony offense, traffickers in drugs, sex crimes, and human trafficking would be beneficial. While I empathize with the hesitation to contact immigration authorities for minor offense, it is equally important that we provide avenues to help support our community safety. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Phoebe.
Thank you, Phoebe.
That concludes our public comments. I do want to say that, number one, I appreciate that everybody was respectful. I should have, learning in the role right now, I should have addressed the back and forth when one of the individuals was up talking. But I appreciate everybody else being respectful and listening to everybody else's perspective. It's obvious that this is a very passionate and also divisive topic. I know it takes a lot of courage to come up here and speak, and some people are so passionate and also nervous. You could see it's visibly shaking them. So I appreciate your courage to participate and come up and speak on your beliefs. So appreciate that, and we will now move on to commissioner comments.
The comments that I had, we'll just go over under our discussion item.
Okay. I do want to address one comment. So you asked about Ray Bushiger. He is currently working on retaining approximately $1.5 million for jail infrastructure improvements, and that's what he's been currently working on behalf of the county. So just an update on that. And when you bring things up like that, I do realize that sometimes we get caught up in the day-to-day and realize that some of that stuff is not communicated effectively. So I wanted to just inform you of that. The issues stated by former Treasurer Barnes, I will be addressing in our next meeting. He left for the evening, so I will address those during our next meeting. I'll have those questions, comments, and concerns prepared statement for. Commissioner comments.
Sure.
All these people showed up for you, Lynn. They knew it was your first meeting. They said, we have to go see how Lynn does things.
I'm very grateful. Thank you very much. I actually am grateful because I feel like I'm a part of an absolutely critical process. We're talking about issues that matter. It's not from 30,000 feet. It's up about 2 feet off of the sea level. And it involves neighbors. It sometimes involves people that we've known for a great period of time. And to this moment, having listened for these maybe an hour or so, I still look at our inability to be responsive to the challenge that we are faced with as a local community. With the opening of the borders that we've seen for the last few years, we do have challenges that we did not have previously. It's represented in the form of sex trafficking. It's evident in drug trafficking. And Oregon sits, we in Curry sit right on the tip of one of the big areas called California that is funneling that stuff northward. So we're in the path. And I don't see that we, through the meaningful comments that have been made, I don't see anything offered other than let's just keep doing what we're doing. And I think that is irresponsible. I think there's more discussion that needs to be made. I think there is a pathway to success with this on a local level, but let's consider this the opening salvo relative to discussions. We got a problem. We've decided which side of the fence we may sit on, but we don't have an agreed upon resolution. Not doing anything is to abate and to aid criminality. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. I do want to make one more comment, not essentially related to the topic that we've been discussing because it will be on the agenda for further discussion, but I do see Jeff Lage here, and I wanted to point out, Jeff, is he coming in? Okay. I know you wanted an opportunity to speak and introduce yourself to the community, so I thought I would go ahead and take a moment to make that introduction. Jeff came to us recently looking to, like many of you all, improve the county, and what he is working on is collaborating with many different avenues within the county as a nonprofit to bring a CMC manufacturing school to the county, along with some CMC manufacturing services, and we'll be doing a. What is CMC manufacturing? You want to explain real quick?
Sure, yeah. It's actually CNC, so computer numerical controlled. So really, the goal that I have when I started a nonprofit, and I'm a Gold Beach resident, and what I've noticed and what I've seen from living here is we have an out-migration.
Microphone, Jeff.
We have an out-migration of young people. So if we look at the data, the facts from the census, in 2000, prior to the close of the mill, about 24% of the young people under 18 were populating in this area. And that's in Curry County. And then if we fast forward to 2020, the number of people is about 13%. So here we are 5 years later, and we're probably closer to 10%. And those that stay, that aren't out migrating, they're left with a choice of underemployment. You know, they can basically get a job or 2 jobs or 3 jobs. They might not have insurance, but it's not really a livable wage. So through that, my background is 40 years in the manufacturing industry, working with a lot of different companies, such as Boeing and NASA and all different kinds of companies. And setting up, successful manufacturing operations, both internationally and in the United States. So I'm an expert in advanced manufacturing and lean manufacturing. And so as I started looking at the data, I said, well, you know, we don't see another mill opening up in Gold Beach. So maybe there's a way where we can take young people, people that were maybe bypassed from COVID and other things, that are trying to figure out life or that still are in school and trying to find a path and share with them something that's worked very well for me. For me, growing up, I did well in school with hands-on, but academics, I didn't do well. I graduated out of a continuation high school. Yet after applying myself in manufacturing, after 10 years, I was running a $40 million organization, and after another 25 years, I was running an $80 million organization. So I'd like to take those skills and apply them to youth and providing trade opportunities here, and that looks like working with the high school, the college, visibility to STEM in the elementary schools. I'm working currently with a SWAC, and I've been working with the commissioner here. I was at the Gold Beach City Hall last night and got a vote of support from them. And so that's the kind of the agenda and the direction. If there's any questions, I can
No, appreciate that. So I just wanted to let the folks know who are here and also viewing that Jeff will be putting together a presentation for our next meeting, and we look forward to that presentation. And to answer your question, so it's metal manufacturing. So they create, you see like when they create parts out of with a computer that with water jets and that's.
Right, so computer numerical controlling, CNC, and think of it as like a drill motor you'd have at home, connected to a big machine with a computer that has 200 different drills in there, so you can put a block of material and out comes, something amazing. And today, with the advancement of CNC and advanced manufacturing, we can just make so many different things so much more efficiently than old technology like making castings and forgings and long lead times, to where we can literally take a block and make just one of what we need or 10 of what we need. So like a partner in that might be Rogue Outdoor Sports, where we look at the different salmon fishing reels that are available, and I've talked to Jim about making custom reels for him, and that might be a good incubator for students that are going through the process.
Well, thank you, Jeff. I just wanted to get an opportunity. I saw you out there, and
thank you for your time. I
Yep.
see it's a very active meeting tonight.
Yes.
I appreciate you guys.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to the consent agenda. Any changes, updates, comments, or motions?
I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
A second.
Okay. Any further discussion?
No.
All right, I'll call for the vote. Commissioner Hollinger?
Yes.
Lynn?
Yes.
And I as well. All right, next up is discussion action items, and we will be starting off with the Immigrations and Customs Enforcement Resolution, draft resolution. Commissioner Hollinger?
Yeah.
Take it away.
Well, thank you guys for allowing me to put this on as a discussion item. Just so everybody knows, I've been following this resolution since January. This is a word-for-word resolution that came from Coos County. It was something that they'd been discussing since January, and I had talked with a couple of their commissioners about it since then, and they brought it kind of to my attention, and I said I'd follow it. I'd follow their discussion, and I would be taking, notes on it as well, and kind of do some of my own research as to what the legalities are, et cetera. But in some of those conversations, it kind of sparked, okay, well, maybe we need to have further discussion regarding, like Lynn stated in his comments, and Ms. Pareda and Ms. Lyons also stated as well, was there's human trafficking, we know, there's drug trafficking, which we know. But then the other thing that is another part of this as well is federal funding. And I know with Oregon being sanctuary state since 1987, and then strengthening their state sanctuary status through the Sanctuary Promise Act, which was passed in 2020, and now with the new federal administration threatening through their executive order to potentially and possibly cut federal funding to the state, well, that will directly affect our county as well, because we use those funds for our DA office, we use those funds for our sheriff's office, and it's those two offices that, can help with the human trafficking and drug trafficking throughout our county. So, those were items of further discussion, I'd again, wish to have. But going back to the resolution that Coos County put out, and and I had a chance to talk with Commissioner Taylor from Coos County. He made a couple of points regarding this, and he said for one of the points is it's not a directive to the sheriff's office in any way, because the BOC, we cannot direct the sheriff's office, which we know. If we, his second point is it's not targeting individuals, but holding and detaining persons already arrested for crimes, and they are detained that are currently in the country illegally. So already incarcerated for existing crimes.
So everyone, please, we gave you the honor of being quiet towards your comments, and now this is the opportunity and what you came here to listen to, so please listen to this.
So, and then some of the other notes I made as well, based off of that, was, so Oregon's sanctuary laws say the state will not use local resources to enforce immigration law, though they cannot stop the federal government from doing so. The other is, county employees, or through several counties, are bound by Oregon state law, which does not permit state and local resources to be used to carry out immigration enforcement, which is a purely federal function, but they must comply with federal law, which prohibits employees from interfering or physically stopping a federal agent in a public area. And again, the other item that I wanted to mention was, again, federal funding. So I think we need to prepare ourselves for a potential loss in federal funding due to sanctuary status. I know we cannot direct or put any of our law enforcement officers in any directive or any position that would cause them to break the law. I understand that. But again, it's just something I wanted to bring up for further discussion. And, so I asked and got some information from Judge Beeman. She mentioned yesterday that over just the past, it's been several years, we've only had just one illegal immigrant that has come through her courtroom, and the DA hasn't had anything in several years come across their plate as well, which is that's great. It's good nothing's come through on that front. But I found other data too from the National Human Trafficking Hotline. And the last statistical data that they had regarding human trafficking in 2023 were that they received 461 calls. And there's been more and there's been less for the years back as well. No, this is, for the state of Oregon. And then I also pulled up a human trafficking heat map that was put out by the Office on Women's Health for the Administration of Children and Families. And on the heat map here, there's heat maps for Curry County, Del Norte County, Josephine County, and Coos County, in which we're all surrounded by those counties as well for human trafficking. So I just wanted to bring this up as just, again, an item of discussion. And, no intention on bringing the resolution to vote, other than because it's not our wording. It was wording that came from Coos County that they had their discussions and stuff on. But, I know these are items that we do face, and I do know come through our county. And just wanted to bring it to you guys' discussion.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, there's no public comment. This is part of the business meeting. Thank you, though. Commissioner Coker, do you have any comments?
Well, I would build upon my opening remarks relative to this being the first step in the right direction, and that is triggering a public discussion within the public square relative to how we can bring a different set of approaches, tools, and possibly even funding to help mitigate the issues that we have locally. And what do I see the issues to be? I have a deep personal background in recovery from addictions. I've also professionally worked through this California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation for 13 years as life coach and addiction counselor. And a piece of that memory of those 13 years, and literally I worked with thousands of men that were incarcerated. It was very obvious that those prisons and the population that was there drew very heavily from the Hispanic and black community. In fact, there was only about 20% of the men. I only worked at men's prison. So the point that I'm making is that I saw the struggle that those men had because they were sons, they were brothers, they were grandparents even, and fathers of very broken families. And that impassioned me to stay connected even today as a life coach and an addiction counselor. So I understand from a family perspective how tragic is this influx of drugs through our community. The other way I look at it is from my wife's perspective. In my perspective, when we walk around McKay's or we go over to Buffington Park here in Gold Beach, and it is not safe many times. And is that just a homeless person that I'm worried about? No. It is, first of all, an addict whose life has been ruined because of drugs, who now finds themselves living the fruit of what it means to be bedded in a life of addiction. So my question would be, are we a community of compassion? Or are we a community of drawing lines in the sand, and you're on one side and I'm on the other? I would genuinely challenge us to figure out in Curry County, I mean, look at the brains and the passion that are in this room. I challenge us to find the next best step for Curry County, working together to address issues associated with trafficking and drug transportation through our communities. Thank you very much.
And homelessness.
Thank you. Commissioner Coker. This is obviously, this is a very broad topic that's been streamlined down to a rural area community, and it's obviously one that drives, like I said before, a lot of emotions as we can hear people as others are speaking. One person, I'm just going to point this out as fact. Somebody said, show us that I just heard it a minute ago, something about, there's no data or something of that nature. And, I would just like to remind everybody in the room that it was 2021 when there was a large cartel bust on the Winchuck in Curry County, and that happened. That was real. That was in our community. That was in our backyards. And so those situations occur. So, I understand that this is an emotional topic for many people, and we have to recognize that. I'm never going to dissuade anybody from putting something on the agenda that they want to discuss, And so, if this was something you wanted to discuss, we're going to discuss it, and it's always worthy of our time in doing so. So, how do you wish to move forward?
Obviously I'm not in any position or want to do any acting on this, as it was just the intention to discuss. But, I read here, I read an article from the sheriff in Coos County, and he made a couple of good points. One of the points was he noted that during their discussions that the sheriff is not required to honor those requests under their proclamation, and in doing so could put them in a difficult spot. And so it'd be something to consider, is that it is breaking the law if he did that, which I totally understand. Where is it? So they don't want to ever have to get into any of the cases where they would be in a position to break the law, or not be able to have the DA or sheriffs do their investigations or prosecutions and have them thrown out. So anyway, I definitely don't want to jeopardize that. But one of the items I guess I would be curious to know is, in the past when the sheriff's department has had an inmate that was illegal, what was past practice with that? Or I would want to know, I guess, what would they do now to follow, the law and the policy regarding that? Just out of curiosity's sake, I just would want to know.
Yeah, so I think that's a worthy question and probably deserves an answer. I will say that I did read everybody's email that was sent in. I also had a police chief reach out to me as well as a lieutenant regarding this. They wanted to just make it known that they don't have the capacity to do these things. And they said that we read the resolution. We realize you're not requesting anybody take action. You're just taking a stance, basically taking a formal stance. And I think if that is what the intent is, then I would suggest that maybe you simplify, rewrite, simplify. If there's a stance that reflects the majority of our county to consider on this topic, then I think that that would be worth considering. It's a formal stance is not a legally binding action or a directive to a law enforcement agency. But to add to what your concerns of potentially losing federal funding, this could be an action that could help advocate for that not to happen.
Sure.
So those are my thoughts.
Well, I agree. I think this is a grand opportunity within the public forum, to have a creative dialogue that's not fenced in between left, right, and center kinds of considerations, but rather focus on how to mitigate the negative impact of these forces that are so big and beyond our control. If we're able to do that, and we can create a vision that is relatively simple, but one that becomes a rallying cry for our county in order to set matters right, that'd be a grand exercise. My motivation, of course, very humanitarian, a very spiritual relationship with these people that are struggling with these matters. But the other is also just from years and years as a business person. I believe that I want to be able to protect our drives as a county in other areas. For instance, we may not want federal funds pulled away from us, but I don't want federal support pulled away from us relative to the challenges that we face regarding offshore wind turbines. I want to make certain that when people back in the Interior Department and the Department of Agriculture, when they start thinking about counties and people and communities that are going to be totally wiped out as a result of some of these very exorbitant plans for placing offshore wind turbines out there, that they don't say, well, it's just Oregon, they're blue. No, I want them to look at us as a group of families that are bound together for success at the county level. And I want them to hear our unified voice that says, don't wrap us up in some false narrative. We're here to continue building one of the best places in the world to live. And by golly, we need a good, strong relationship with the federal government in order to achieve that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Lynn.
Well put. Thank you.
So with that,
I don't have any further discussion if you guys don't.
okay. Well, thank you for your time and comments.
Thanks, Pat, very much.
Okay. Next up is the website and social media administration policy. I didn't know if we want to give time for, if there was anybody who doesn't want to stick around for the remainder of the meeting to go ahead and go. We can give you a few minutes to do so, if this was the topic you were here for.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being here tonight, very much.
Hey, ready for the Curry County website social media administration policy? Hold on, I'm giving everyone an opportunity to vacate after the website, or the ICE. Okay. All right. Looks like we will continue on. Hold on, I'm going to put Director Fitzgerald on speaker. Okay. Director Fitzgerald, you are on speaker. So I just want to provide a little bit of background on this topic. Some may have recently read in our social media threads about the sheriff not having access to the website. So I wanted to provide some clarity about that. Essentially, what had occurred is we had an unauthorized user going on our website into areas that they are not authorized and making changes to those pages that they are not authorized to do so. So in order to protect the integrity of the website, we had to condense everything down to one administrator. We were not preventing any information from being on the website. We were just directing that all information that needs to go to the website go through this one person until we could figure this out and also subsequently create a policy to protect it going forward. So today we're going to discuss that policy. And so Director Fitzgerald, I've read the policy. I feel that it is very well written. Are there any pieces, highlights that you would like to just point out and make us aware of?
Well, so the things that are that we've got a website, which is when I was not aware that every department head basically had admin privileges on the website and could go and make changes on any other aspect of the website. I didn't. That for some reason, that's the way this website host is set up. I would like to look into a different setup, because that seems like something that should be easily avoidable, and puts the entire county at risk. If you have one unhappy employee, all kinds of things could happen. Luckily, we only had one employee who decided to abuse that that opportunity and move into other areas. I don't think it was done with malintent. But when I learned that it had happened, I shut off access for everybody except Miranda, our administrator. Nobody lost access to the website, and nobody will. You just have to go through right now you have to go through our website administrator, the one person who can make sure that everything's available. But also on this policy, it also applies to Facebook pages, and all these departments a lot of departments have separate Facebook pages, and we're asking that we're kind of requiring those need to be registered with HR, with the HR department, so that we're aware of who has access, who has admin privileges on those, so that we can oversee those as well, because we want to make sure that the information that's getting put out by the county is actually vetted by the county and determined, as far as the county is concerned, to be accurate. I know that I was reading social media posts that the sheriff's department was unable to post its weekly stats, so I did take a look at those stats. And I looked at the ones before, and they were inaccurate. They misrepresented actual calls by other agencies, which I feel is a disservice to other agencies, specifically Brookings PD. I think in this that is still ongoing. So those stats aren't going to be going on the county website unless they're accurate. For example, the stats represented that in the week that they were reporting here just recently, that Brookings PD had gotten 7 calls, I believe it was 7 calls. In fact, it was closer to, I want to say 350 calls, but it was 7 people that called our county dispatch trying to get Brookings by accident. And we're not here to misrepresent the efforts of other agencies. So, we're going to need to work harder to make sure that whatever we put on the website is accurate. And that's why this policy is going forward. That's why I would recommend it. And that'll apply to the Facebook pages as well, just so we can make sure that we're all pulling in the same direction. Every government agency here in the county, I don't look at them as opponents. I don't look at them as adversaries. I look at them as partners, and I think we should be supporting them as they support us.
Agreed. I think it's number one, information is important. We need to get information and have a medium in order to do so that's accurate, consistent, and timely. I think if there was a goal that resonated with me during the commissioner appointments, it was Commissioner Coker's goal of communication, and I can't agree more that we need to communicate. We need to have the mediums to communicate. We need to be consistent with it, and we need to be accurate with it. And if we find inaccuracies, we need to work with those agencies. We need to work with those individuals to just shore up those numbers to make sure that we are getting the correct ones out. I'll give an example. Tonight, for the public safety portion of the meeting, I was reaching out to our district attorney to get information about how many cases have been filed with a DA over the past 6 months, and from which agencies. And when they went to go pull the numbers, they actually came up with 2 sets of numbers, and so the DA was like, I don't feel that I want to make sure, I want to go back through this with a fine-tooth comb so I can make sure that I'm giving you the exact numbers. And so they weren't able to give them to me tonight, but they wanted to make sure that they were accurate in doing so, and I can appreciate that. And I can appreciate that follow-up. So that's an example of why we need to have these information. And then in terms of having the policy, policies are in place to protect us, protect the individuals, protect the county, and we have some outdated policies, and we have some policies that haven't kept up with current tech. like social media and websites. And so we need to adopt and increase the strength of our security, of our infrastructure. I mean, if we didn't learn a lesson during the cyber attack, I don't know what lesson we could have learned, right? So this is just one more avenue in which to do so, and I applaud the efforts that were put in, and I'm assuming that you had some assistance with from Rabia and possibly others on this, a lot of collaboration. So I'm ready to move on.
All right, I will make a motion then to.
I'd like to comment. First.
Oh, please, yes.
You can comment if you want to. Obviously, you can comment before or after the motion's made when we have further discussion. It's up to you.
Let's do it after.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, no problem. So I will make a motion to approve the Curry County website and social media administration policy as written.
Second.
Okay, further discussion.
Yes, Ted, back at you on this. In terms of the formulation of the material, did we do a flyby the other departments in order to give them kind of like a taste of what was forthcoming? And is there provision either in the instructions here or maybe just on the back of the envelope someplace for a review and maybe 60, 90 days down the road to see how our departments are experiencing, looking for cracks in the process, looking for ways to constantly improve, those sorts of things? Could you walk me through that originating process as well as the management process? Thank you.
Well, right now, we just walked the policy out, and we're going to be working with the various departments that already have their Facebook pages up. We're gonna work with every department and get those registered. And at that point, I really had to act fast, Lynn, because it's unacceptable to be putting false information out and to be. I mean, the alternative was actually to shut the website down because we can't have unauthorized individuals going into, say, the HR department is what happened and making changes that could expose the county to extreme liability. So we had to kind of lock things down. We're going to work on opening things up and making sure that everybody understands the policy going forward and is able to work within it. If there are some areas, and there will be, we have some issues with some of our departments where they really want to be out in an expanded presence with social media, and I think that's a good thing to the extent that it can be, but that is balanced by the exposure of our entire IT infrastructure to that sort of presence. So we have to work carefully with IT and every one of these departments as we go forward here to see how that goes. It's going to be an ongoing process, and of course, if you follow the policy, then there's not going to be a problem. If you want to expand on that policy, then we'll be happy to talk about it and see if there are ways we can do that. But right now, in order to safeguard the lifeline of information from the county to the public, we had to get this in place. I also want to say that Rabia had previously been working on this on the social media policy this is some months ago. She'd gone into this kind of phase and left reality for a while and got it pretty much written, and then we all got sidetracked and didn't get to put it in place. So I'm glad we're able to do that now.
Well, after having looked at it, I think you guys did a great job. The timing on it is perfect. It had to be done right away, and I'm grateful that you guys were able to bring it to us tonight. Thanks, Ted.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and any further discussion?
No, I like it.
I will call for the vote. Commissioner Hollinger?
Yes.
Commissioner Coker?
Yes.
And yes as for myself. Okay. All right, that being said there, I think next up is the public safety update. And as I stated, I was trying to prepare something and was not able to get it in time. This is my fault for putting them under, by not preparing sooner. This is my fault. So do you have any?
No, I just want to say, thank you again to you two commissioners, as well as to everybody else that showed up tonight for the discussion regarding that resolution, and in regards to the public safety discussion as well regarding the human trafficking and drug trafficking that unfortunately do come through here. And I look forward to further discussion regarding that in the future.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Lynn?
I'm good.
Okay. Next is Director of County update. Ted? Ted? Sorry, I think I had another call coming through and it put you on mute. Next up is your update for Director of County Operations. Ted? Did you put me on mute?
I have to hang up and call him back.
Most people put me on mute.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jay. I did put you on mute.
It's okay. Most people, I'm used to.
No, I was just gonna say I'm glad I'm going next because we didn't seem to have a public safety update. My update is fairly truncated, but it is a public safety related update, which I think the public will be interested to hear. Last week I was contacted by the jail commander. Well, actually I was contacted by maintenance and the jail commander because there is a rat problem in the jail, and it was affecting the jail kitchen. And so when I was made aware of it, I had to point out that maintenance is not for a situation like a rat infestation. We need professionals to work on that, and it's hard to find the right people in our area in a time sensitive manner. But I was able to remember that the commissioners had entered into an agreement with USDA regarding wildlife control and predator management and that sort of thing. So I did reach out to USDA and they responded. I reached out last week and they responded today by sending their trapper, and they've got 12 rat traps in the jail. I believe the kitchen right now. We're gonna see if we can kind of do a shock and awe on the rats and get that knocked down into shape. Once we were made aware of it, we moved on it immediately. I think it's really important that we do that we have a duty to safeguard the people in our jail and provide them with acceptable conditions, humane conditions to live in and to eat and so forth. And so we're taking action there. I just want to let everybody know that USDA stepped up. They are a great partner, and I really appreciate that they went up to Roseburg, got the traps, got turned around, came back and got them in place today working with Brandy from maintenance. And I have nothing but good things to say about my people.
Perfect. On that note, do you have is there an update on the jail bunks?
So the jail bunks have been ordered. We've got right now. We still have the temporaries in there until we get the permanents delivered. And the old bunks have been cleared. Maintenance went in there and cut them out. Many of them were metal installed directly into the concrete, and so in order to keep things safe, we had to cut the metal and then grind the concrete down below, and then get the metal back down below surface to a safe degree, and then float new concrete in over the top. We're in the process of doing all that and bring the jail up into or those rooms that we're working on specifically, get those into a habitable and safe condition. I think that with the new beds, it'll be one big step toward getting that jail upgraded to to a position so we can get more beds open. You know, in the earlier discussion that you had, you know, about the ICE detainment and so forth, it's a lot to ask when we don't have, we only have 16 beds available in the jail. So I've made it my mission to get that jail expanded and make it habitable and safer than it is right now. Address the plumbing, address the sanitation, address the food service, address all the things that are necessary to make that an acceptable place to house prisoners. And I think it's a standard that we need to adhere to make sure that we take care of the people that are put under our control and responsibility. So that's what we're working on, and I'm very happy the way that everybody stepped up. And I've also reached out to people in the community who volunteered to help as we go forward. I think I have high hopes that we're gonna make a difference with that jail. I mean, it's a tough time to get federal money and state money right now, but we're doing our best. And if that doesn't work, we'll figure out another way to come at it, because we can make the impossible possible, just because all you have to do is try.
Perfect. So, thank you.
Yeah, can I make a comment on that?
Yeah, go.
So thank you for continuing to push the ball forward with all that, Ted. So I toured the jail a couple times over this past month. The first time with a representative from Senator Merkley's office, and the second time with a representative from Senator Wyden's office. They're trying to help us get federal appropriated funds and the tune of approximately $1.5 million so that we can do upgrades to our jail. And it's been long neglected for many years. There's a lot of deferred maintenance. There's a lot of improvements, both with infrastructure, like Ted stated, and also with technology advancements in jail command. And anyway, so I just wanted to say, we're still working on that, and we do have our lobbyist, Ray, who's doing a really good job back in DC, helping push hard for us to get this funding as well. So we'll keep the foot on the gas pedal, Ted. Good job.
Well, Pat, I just wanted to chime in again and say that, I'm glad you mentioned those senators' aides, and they both came down. They're both really hard workers. I really enjoyed working with them. They're effective, very effective in their jobs. But I also wanted to put a shout out for Val Hoyle's office, who those people, they don't take the weekend off. They were calling me all weekend to make sure they get their appropriation request in, and they never stopped. They got it done, and they were looking for alternatives the entire time. And I do have to say that working with Ray, that's a game changer. I think we're really moving in the right direction as far as trying to get money to address the issues that we have that frankly just can't be ignored.
Agreed. 100%. All right. So with that, sorry, Ted, is that all you have for your Director of County Operations update?
That's it. Except I do want to, I have more things to say about Rabia and the Facebook policy, but I'm not going to say them. We're just going to let her. She did it, and and she should get a lot of credit for it, because I did kind of wonder what she was doing over there all that time. But once she gets on a project, you just kind of stay out of her way, and everybody's happier for it.
Agreed. I have seen the typing fiasco in action. Okay, next up we have elected official updates. We do have an elected official in the audience. Councilwoman Pereira, would you like your time?
First of all, I want to thank the commissioners for their financial support and contribution to our community. You stepped in the gap and provided the opioid funds to support the budget shortfall of our school district, and I appreciate that you did that so that tax burden didn't fall upon our citizens. I also want to thank Director Fitzgerald for correcting those statistics. In my home, when we saw those on social media this week, we were quite shocked and knew that was not accurate. So I want to thank him for that. And then I want to make very clear that the rest of my comments are my personal comments. They're not a reflection of discussion we've had at council, but my personal perspective, and this is in regards to the levy, because I do believe it affects our community. I want to say specifically as it relates to Brookings in particular, that our residents are already paying for law enforcement. And I strongly believe it's an undue burden and an over ask of our residents to be contributing to provide law enforcement for the county as well. And then just as a matter of personal perspective, I want to say that as a member of the law enforcement family, and as a supporter of the law enforcement community, it's with much regret I must express my strong opposition to the law enforcement levy presented on the ballot. My personal opposition is twofold. First of all, I don't believe that the levy provides enough clarity as to the allocation of the resources. There's many questions in my mind as to the research, thought, and planning efforts that have been put into this to fully form a budget. I'll provide just one example of such concern. I have heard nothing as to planning for funding of administrative costs, such as a staff member to process payroll, necessary equipment and software, and many other expenses that are crucial for an organization to function. Secondly, and my larger concern, is that I cannot in good conscience vote for this or any other levy as long as the current sheriff is tasked with oversight of the sheriff's office, unless he were to demonstrate a complete change of course. I have serious concerns about his integrity, his ethics, and in my opinion, he has been completely derelict in some of his duties, most notably in his reporting to this Board of Commissioners and to the public. We all agree both parties must come to the table. I have seen the Board of Commissioners make many requests for that to happen, while this board makes every effort to exercise its authority to request information and hold the sheriff accountable for operations and performance of his department. The only response to the commissioners I have heard from the sheriff is absolute silence. I have extreme concerns that a sheriff who is unwilling to report to a board given authority by the state will have no willingness to report to the appointed committee. There have been some serious allegations reported by the board towards those underneath the sheriff's charge, and there has been no response to the public about those allegations, or if they're even being investigated. Early on, I heard the sheriff reference taxpayer resources underneath the oversight of this Board of Commissioners as though they belonged solely under his charge and as though there were no legal processes required to account for these taxpayer resources. These are just a few examples of why I hold such great concern and cannot in good conscience support not only the levy but this public official. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Thank you.
Okay, and now we're into commissioner updates. So I am going to go backwards here and provide Commissioner Coker the first opportunity for comment.
Very good. So I had the opportunity to get my assignments this week, and we approved them. I'll be on the LIPSIC, that's Local Public Safety Coordinating Council. I have reached out to them, have not been able to actually make human contact.
You're going to want to, sorry, I can help you with that.
Good.
David Denny will be your primary contact.
Okay.
I believe he's the chairperson for LIPSIC right now.
Okay.
Yes, he's eagerly anticipating your participation.
Thank you.
Yes.
So then the other one that I've got is a Local Public Safety Council Coordinating Council, and made contact with them, looking forward to a briefing on that. The other one was the Southwest Area Commission Transportation. That's the same as the other one, and there is a call set up for them next week. And then the final one I've got is the Court Safety Advisory Committee. And once again, we've got a meeting scheduled for next week on that. So the thing that I would add is that with the reintroduction of a portion of the wind energy industry enlivening themselves in efforts to start a 48-month campaign to redo the leasing of a couple 100,000 acres off of our Curry shoreline. They have not turned away from that prospect. So, Jay, you and I have talked about having a level of representation on the Oregon committee in a different capacity, and we're not there yet that I'm aware of.
No, so the Oregon Roundtable Southern Coast, yeah, it has a whole acronym. Basically, the Oregon's Roundtable on DLCD's offshore wind committee. They reached out to me this week. I had brought up concern that there was nobody from the Southern Oregon coast governments on their roundtable, and that should be changed. And they agreed. So I offered up you as a person to sit on that table because I know your passion on offshore wind energy and your knowledge.
And he's been involved with it since day one.
Right. And so, I couldn't think of a better representative to represent the voice of Curry County on that roundtable. They will be having a community forum discussion held in Brookings.
15th.
Yep, on the 15th of June? May.
15th of
Yeah,
May.
just a couple weeks, in a week. Yeah, there will
Is
be,
it the 14th or the 15th?
I believe it's the 15th.
I think it's 15th.
Yeah, it's the 15th.
Okay.
And so I will reach out to them, and with consensus from this group, if you agree, it doesn't require a vote, that Lynn represents us on that roundtable.
I couldn't agree more.
So the question and thank you very much. I'm very motivated to get in there and mix it up as a good colleague for many people like us that are seeking to push back on the momentum that the industry has built. But having said that, without a formal authorization from the county, I wonder if they will go through and give me that position on the roundtable. So I'll get back to you based on what I discover. If
Okay,
that's okay.
perfect.
And we may want to add that to the
Next agenda,
Yeah.
sure.
Okay, thanks.
Is that it?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. Commissioner Hollinger.
Yeah. Guess I got a couple things. To make Natasha happy, our next BOC meeting will be held in Brookings on May 20th at 6 p.m. The road show goes on. So I want to make sure that's on there. I also wanted to address the Highway 101 road closure. I had been contacted by a few different constituents stating that they don't want the dates for the 101 road closure to interfere with festivals going on.
Yeah, the Legends.
In summer and fall. So Legends or being one of the dates that was a proposed date was that weekend. And so I heard, opposition against that. So I don't know what other dates that are proposed that could maybe be pushed off another week or two, or as we get out of our busier tourist season for our county.
So ODOT, so this is going to be one of the things you're on.
You mean you don't have the answers already?
But I found out about it today.
They had received the concern, and they basically said, this is exactly the type of information we need. That's why we sent out this notice. So I think they're very willing to accommodate and make sure that the dates align with the ongoings of the county. So the last thing they want to do is burden people with having to go around. And it sounds like there will be like a 2-day closure on the 101 in North County to replace a culvert that's failed. And so it is something that we will all have to plan for as we move forward. And so as that time gets closer and the date gets more solidified, we will be much more vocal about it to get it out to everybody.
I just want to cut in and say how pleased I am with the ongoing road work at the top of Cape Sebastian. It's a great way to break up the day for lengthy periods of rest.
Yes, I plan on 20 minutes each way. Is that it?
No.
Okay.
So, like Lynn, I also took one of Brad's positions on the Fair Board. So the three of us have divvied up his roles that he also played as a commissioner. So, Jay, thank you for stepping up as chair. Lynn, thank you for stepping up into the other board roles that you had mentioned. And then I took Brad's position on the Fair Board. So I'm very much looking to being involved with Terry, the fair director over there, and her team and the other board members. So there's been some great improvements going on over at the fair. Just recently, our arena, if you all recall, for many years was in complete disarray. Half the roof was missing, it was leaking, there were issues with the doors, there's issues with the internal steel structure, painting, insulation, it was just a nightmare, and it was not permitted to use as a public space. So since the change in the board, and since Brad was on the board, and since Ted was involved, and since Terry has been there, there has since been a new roof installed. They just recently did a bunch of media blasting on all of the steel framework and repairing of that, and also sealing it as well. And I believe that it's going to be getting some new lighting soon as well, so that we can actually make this an event center again, where we can use it. Well, it's there for the public's benefit, and we can generate some more revenue for our economy with the events there. And so I just wanted to applaud Brad and Ted and Terry and everybody on the Fair Board who has helped make that happen. I also wanted to, again, congratulate Lynn on your first meeting and getting through your first meeting. So I appreciate you being here, and you're very welcomed. And I appreciate the wisdom and insight that you bring to the commission. And one last thing, I also wanted to congratulate the Department of Justice. I saw this today, actually, on a news article. The Justice Department and DEA seized 3 million fentanyl pills as part of the largest ever multi-state drug operation in U.S. history. So not only did they obtain 11.5 kilos worth, or 3 million fentanyl pills, there was also a large amount of heroin, cocaine, and meth along with that bust, along with large amounts of cash, large amounts of jewelry, as well as firearms. And I also want to point out, and I think it was mentioned earlier in this meeting, that this bust took down some major cartel leaders, not only in other states, but also here in the state of Oregon. The bust took down major Sinaloa cartel leader who was living in Salem, Oregon. This happened yesterday. So all these drugs are not only peddled through Oregon, but they were caught being peddled through several other western states as well. And I want to, again, congratulate the Department of Justice for this drug bust and taking care of a major issue that we deal with in our state, in our county, and in our country. That's all I have.
Okay.
Powerful.
A couple of things. Number one, there's been some issues out at Social Security Bar. recently. And I know that the individuals in Brookings City Council were discussing this in their last meeting. And I just want to thank Director Fitzgerald, City Manager Rundell, and Police Chief McCrae for working on finding a viable solution to protect all parties that are invested on Social Security bar. You know, it's quite it has quite a history. You know, not only for being an amazing fishing spot, but it also has a history of plaguing the folks who live along that area, and some of the stuff that goes on there, specifically probably after hours, that affects their quality of life. And the chief of police and the city manager and Director Fitzgerald were able to formulate a plan to get OSP involved and work on really bringing some order down there for those folks while keeping the bar open and maintained for the fishermen as well. So I felt like there was a lot of work done there that was positive. I also wanted to point out the SRO position that was maintained for the Brookings Harbor School District. The school district serves the entire South County from Pistol River to the border, and so that is a lot of youth who live in the county as well as the ones who live in Brookings. And the school district itself is looking at a fairly substantial budget crisis. Currently, it's looking about like, this is public knowledge, so it's about $1.2 million that the school district is trying to work out, and will be working out during this budget season in terms of a deficit. So they were unable to provide their portion of the SRO, and that's called the school resource officer for folks at home. And luckily, the county, the city reached out to the county and said, hey, we see you have those opioid funds. You were willing to do that for Central County. Are you willing to help out South County? And it was a really good team effort to keep the SRO program running in South County. The other thing I wanted to point out is, the sheriff's department, the sheriff's office recently did a lot of work on the southern end of the 101 across the bridge in Harbor with the transients. And so, I don't know if that somewhat, typically that's been identified as not the sheriff's jurisdiction. It's been OSP's jurisdiction, but nonetheless, it needed to happen. I wish it was an ongoing process and not just when ballots show up in the mail. And I also wish that folks would, that same effort would move up the river roads where a lot of illegal camping is continuing to go on and waste is going into our waterways, etc. So I want to applaud the effort, but I also want to continue to advocate for those other areas to be addressed as well. The biggest thing that's hit me in the last week is communication. I've had a lot of dialogue with different individuals over the last week. From other elected officials to citizens reaching out. And it seems to be the one common theme is how do we become more effective at communication? And it is a theme that I think we can own, we can be better at. And it aligns exactly with what Commissioner Coker is determined to accomplish. I want to remind the board that we have some avenues in which can assist with this. We do get what are called PEG funds. PEG funds are available for us to essentially create a communication tool on 2 of the TV channels that we have assigned to the county, as well as providing some video and audio equipment to better equip the ability to communicate. But that also comes in line with what goes out is also important. And, you know, I think what one of the goals that I'm setting for myself is, you know, some type of a monthly update. You know, it's sometimes it's really hard to capture all the information that's said in these meetings and put out by all the different individuals. We get a director's update, we get an elected officials update, but a way to be able to condense, you know, the information into a palatable, you know, informational of what has happened at the county in the last month.
Almost like a newsletter.
Almost like a newsletter, just a monthly statement that's, you know, the roads department was able to accomplish this, and, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so, you know, I think that will be one of my goals. I know there's probably a lot of people right now that just took a deep breath because they realize it's going to be a bit of additional work. But it doesn't have to be. It can be a part of our process. And so I want to be better at communicating. You know, people here get a lot of their information on social media. And a lot of the information on social media is wrong. You know, I'm not really on social media that much, but I get people who send me screenshots and things of that nature. And some of the stuff that's said, I cannot believe actually people took the time to type. And so we need to have an avenue that really helps get out the facts of a scenario as opposed to just the rumors of the scenario. I mean, we've had illicit rumors going around about Commissioner Alcorn, illicit rumors going around about Director Fitzgerald. I mean, all these things are essentially baseless and without any merit, yet continue to raise dialogue. And although we cannot control social media and everybody has the right to say what they need to or want to on social media, it nonetheless is somewhat disparaging, and
it's divisive as well.
It's divisive, and so, you know, my personal goal is to get out ahead of it. One of the things that happened is I had a back and forth with a council person, and the council person really asked some very poignant, directed questions, and I wanted to share those because some of those are directed at the commission as a whole. But, you know, some of the things that were stated was, you know, what are you doing to affect, you know, well, I mean, can I just pull it up?
Go right ahead, please.
Okay.
I think I'm familiar with that info.
Well, and what more so than the actual dialogue back and forth, what was more important was it really did make me assess what it is that we are working on and doing, because a lot of times that does not get communicated, as you mentioned earlier with Ray Bushiger, and what is happening with our, you know, what is he effectively doing? And he has been doing an amazing job in coordinating all of our legislators in DC to get on this one specific thing we asked, which is, you know, getting some jail enhancements done. And so, but if we don't talk about it, you can only speculate on what's happening. And so, you know, one of the things, so some of the things that were said was, let me see. What did you do to address homelessness in Curry County, especially the camps in Harbor that have been assembling over the stretch that look like I-205 in Portland? There are empty storefronts, a lot of empty storefronts in Harbor. What have you done to promote economic development, attract new businesses, and help small businesses? What is your strategy to promote tourism and give businesses paying motel and lodging taxes a bigger bang for their buck? And what did you do to assist in the workforce housing shortage? And, you know, and so I responded. And, you know, some of the things, I'll give you an example for workforce housing. But these are things that oftentimes don't get communicated, and this is the point. Workforce housing. My response was simple. There's very little rural residential zones in the county. This is a notable problem. I worked with Senator Brock Smith and Brett Curtis to develop a bill that will at least allow the consideration for areas zoned ag, but are within the UGB, to access the utilities. This bill would specifically be targeting the Harbor Bench as an area for potential development. In addition to this, in an area of particular interest to me was repealing the fire map and the associated building and planning codes changes. This legislation would provide more financial process and process burdens on our county, and in particular with the Lone Ranch housing development. I worked with the City of Brookings manager, mayor, and South Coast Lumber to draft a letter to the governor about this, and I attended and participated in both state comment periods regarding the map legislation, advocating for a review for our county and incorporating historical fire information and the marine layer. In addition, I drafted an emergency declaration to address the map. This prompted a call from Senator Golden, the author of map legislation, and subsequent visit to Salem to discuss the best way to repeal the map, which was accomplished. This repealed legislation will be instrumental to the future development, in particular to the Lone Ranch development, which South Coast and the City of Brookings have millions invested in, which if we had not been able to work on getting that fire map pushed back, would have been an incredible cost burden to that entire potential development, which I need to remind everybody in the room it is the largest planned housing development in the state of Oregon. That's happening in our little community of Brookings, and we should be proud to be a part of that and do everything we can to continue it.
Can I point out one thing regarding that? Yeah. I just want to point out that it's Commissioner Trost that led and started the discussion at the federal level to repeal the wildfire map. He started it. I want you guys to be aware of that. So thank you, because it got repealed and some red tape gets cut down, we can start again pressing forward with the housing that's much needed in our county.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that. So in going through this process, it reminded me on how important it is to actually assess what we are currently doing, what we are getting done, and how we can communicate that out. So, to your point, I want to be a process of the communication, and I really want to set some goals that we can achieve in doing so going forward.
I will second that.
So with that, that's all I have for tonight. I will pass on some of this information that this individual was asking of the other commissioners, so that you have an opportunity to answer specifically, and I'll send it to Natasha to move forward to you.
And could I add one more thing too in regards to the planning and zoning? Last week, before Lynn was appointed, we met with our planner, our county planner. His name's Zach Moody, and he's been working with us for about the last year and a half, helping us get caught up on past permitting, surveying for development. And he's helped really get things caught up, and we have some new initiatives moving forward with him to help us explore, and that would be regarding the planning and zoning, like Jay said, in rural county, to see what opportunities we have in those areas where we can make the zoning more beneficial for development, where necessary. And so that's, again, another thing that we've just now initiated that we'll be looking forward. And then I know Lynn, with his background and expertise in community development and planning, will help us be able to push that ball forward as well. So
put that in perspective, those numbers, for those that don't know, in Curry County, only 4% of our land is zoned developable land. 4% of the land in Curry County. If we just increase it by 2%, it would essentially provide 50% more developable land in Curry County. And that, when you put it, even if 1% would be 25% an increase in developable land in Curry County. And so, a lot of things that restrict us are obviously geographical. It's hard to build on the side of a hill. And then, zoning. And a lot of the zoning has been put in place generations ago. I mean, Ted's dad fought against a lot of this stuff, you know, in the 60s and 70s, you know, in terms of trying to get farming and, or F&G, forest and grazing zoning to be more amenable to future development. Currently, as it sits, if you have essentially, if you have a piece of property that's regardless of its size and acreage, and it's zoned forest and grazing, you can have one dwelling on that, regardless of its size and acreage. So that is becomes an issue, especially when a lot of it has become residential between Pistol River and South County in that F&G zone that is still developable, that is on a, it's not sloped in a non-developable manner. So a lot of work, and the Harbor Bench is the big one. And that's the most developable land we have.
And another side of that as well is being able to free this up so that more development and more housing can be built. That's our tax base. So that increases our county property taxes. That's additional monies that help come to our general fund that we can help pay with for resources, so we don't have to ask for tax levies and increase taxes and all of that. And then as far as, again, the housing, there's a lot of folks in our county that are currently in entry-level housing that have been there for many years, who do have the opportunity to upgrade, so to say, which would then again free up entry-level or workforce housing for others. So being able to create this and develop more housing will help free up that workforce housing and that startup housing. So these are all things that we're working on to help, again, address the housing situation and also address income for the county through additional property taxes for having more housing. So we have a lot of issues we're addressing and a lot of actions we're working on and pushing forward. So, but we will continue to communicate that better going forward so that everybody knows that, you know, we have a lot going on and we are doing what we feel is the best for our citizens.
Yeah, the last thing I just would leave with this is, you know, last year we, as all of you know, faced probably some of the most substantial cuts in Curry, at least in the last 25 years. And what we've been able to do is learn, you know, because when you make cuts of that magnitude, you identify, you know, where you have cut into areas that you have huge holes and areas of need. You know, we realize that, you know, there's areas that we have to go and patch, but there's other areas where cuts were made, and those areas we found that they became more efficient with those cuts, and that they're actually higher performing now because of those cuts. So we have to really assess and look at what we, you know, going into this budget season, learn from what we, you know, from what has happened, and really be mindful about the plan moving forward. And
accurate numbers help with all of that. So we definitely look forward to sharing with you in the next meeting as well, the financial update report as well.
Yes. So with that, if there's nothing else, I will adjourn this meeting at 8:31, and we will see you all next.